Deep analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star forces us to put it in the category of the love poems of John Donne. It was published in the volume of Songs and Sonnets, after the death of the poet. In this poem, John Donne openly challenges his readers. He has minutely seen the world, but leaves its analysis to his readers and asks them to go anywhere in the world and catch a falling star. Donne's attitude towards women is not so good. He believes that beautiful women are morally corrupt. Many people have the ability to achieve impossible targets. Donne challenges them too. He is of the view that even those persons cannot find a loyal woman in this world. Falling star symbolizes a true and faithful woman. One cannot catch a falling star, therefore, he also cannot find a loyal woman in the world. For Donne, it is the most difficult task. Introduction of the poet. John Donne's work is divided into two main categories: love poems and divine poems. In love poems, Donne talks about women and their nature, but he does not glorify their beauty. We merely find an appreciation of beauty in the poems of John Donne. Many former poets used to exaggerate women's attractiveness. It is not the case with John Donne. In this regard, he is different from other writers. Analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star transpires that it is not about the beauty of women, but about their nature. It is to clarify that Donne has not challenged the loyalty of women. To make it clear, let's take an example. If a person wants to challenge the validity of a document, he can do so only if a document exists. If it does not exist, its validity can't be challenged. Donne is of the view that loyalty in beautiful women does not even exist, therefore, he does not challenge it. He could have challenged it if he had found it in any woman. Thus, there is an element of impossibility. Although, in later sonnets, the poet had changed his attitude, yet in love poems his attitude is strict towards women. Theme analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star. John Donne is not a philosopher. He only shares his feelings with his readers. After analysis of material things in Go and Catch a Falling Star, the poet talks about the inconsistent attitude of women. The theme of the poem, thus, is the inconstancy of women. This poem is highly ironic and simultaneously symbolic. It seems that someone has betrayed John Donne, therefore, he does not consider many impossible tasks impossible, but the task of finding a beautiful but loyal woman. He concludes the poem with the theme of the unfaithfulness of women. Stanza 1 Analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star. The poet gives some examples of impossible tasks. The first task is of catching a falling star. We all know that one can pray when he sees a falling star, but he cannot catch it, therefore, it is an impossible task. The second task is of getting a human child from mandrake roots. Mandrake is a human look-alike tree. Pharmaceuticals prepare medicines from it. Donne gives an example and says that it is impossible to get a human child from this tree. The third task is of finding the past years. No one knows where the time comes and where it goes. Thus, it is also an impossible task. The poet adds another task, which is of finding the name of a person who cleft devil's feet. Mythically, someone cleaves the devil's feet, but no one knows who cleaves them, therefore, it is another impossible task. The fifth task is of listening music of the mermaid. Again, Donne has created a reference from myth. Mermaid is a character of myth that has a body of a woman, whereas the tail of a fish instead of legs. The poet knows that it is a mythical character, which does not exist, therefore, it is not possible to listen to its music. The last task is somewhat satirical. Human nature is unchangeable. Envy was there even in Satan, as evident from Paradise Lost. It is also there in humans. No one could remove envy from human nature. It is still part of human nature, therefore, it is impossible to change it. Donne believes that all the above works are impossible, however, he says that one may make these tasks possible, but he cannot find a true and loyal woman. From these instances, It is obvious that John Donne is a master at creating far-fetched amazing examples. Stanza 2 Analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star. Donne maintains the flow of the poem and illustrates another task though not impossible. The poet says that if a person has superhuman qualities, he can see strange things. He can travel 100 miles to see nature, also he can see the whole world until his hair turns grey, and even that person cannot find a faithful woman. From this stanza, it seems that no one can convince Donne with respect to his dogma regarding female nature. He is against the existence of loyalty in beautiful women. He is right or wrong, it is another matter, yet his presentation and comparison between different things are praiseworthy. Donne is talking about two things, true and fair. He is talking about a woman who is beautiful and loyal. Stanza 3 Analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star. In the last stanza of the poem, the poet seems convinced. He promises that if one were able to find a loyal and beautiful woman, he would go on a pilgrimage. Perhaps, Donne wants to advise us that there is a scarcity of beautiful and faithful women in the world. Thus, if one finds it, then it is necessary for him to worship her. He himself says that he would worship that beautiful and loyal goddess if found. However, he cannot forget that women are unfaithful, therefore, he changes his mind. He says that he would not go on pilgrimage even if it is at next door, because it would be a waste of time. He then talks about the possibility. A woman can sell his loyalty. She would have become disloyal until the poet reaches her. Style analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star. The poet has used a colloquial style in the poem. Verse pattern is neither conventional nor definable. The style of the poem changes with the mood of the poet, it is, thus, dependent on emotions. There is a strange kind of music in it. Style analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star reveals the simplicity of the poem, but it simultaneously is not conservative. Conclusion. Donne is not a romantic poet. Even while praising beauty, his attitude remains unromantic. Analysis of Go and Catch a Falling Star reveals that the poet has a false belief in women, therefore, he jibes every beautiful woman on earth. He is not talking about any single woman, but about every beautiful woman in the world. He is not against beauty, but against disloyalty. Undoubtedly, the poem is a masterpiece. The poet goes at the peak while describing the impossibility of work, but suddenly comes down and says it may be possible. The only task, which is impossible in the eyes of the poet, is to find a loyal and beautiful woman.